So, my goal for this reaction today is basically to get through it without crying or tearing up once. And it has not been easy to do that because pretty much in every single Tamino reaction I've done thus far, that has happened to me. And don't get me wrong, like, I love music that makes me emotional and just touches my soul in that way. And Tamino is just so good at that. But I'm going to do my best to hold it together on this one because we're going to be checking out two more Tamino tracks today, Fascination and Each Time. And for both of these tracks, I'm going to do my best to lyrically analyze them as well to come away with some deeper understanding here. Before we jump into it, I wanted to take a second to thank Adam for sending this reaction request my way and for bringing more Tamino to the channel. But now, let's jump into it. Cool. What a switch up. Great chord progression so far.
I like the colors.
Dude, who comes in at that moment? No one else but Tamino. Let's go.
I like the colors.
Wow, what a smart choice.
Reflected in your eyes when you look up to the sky. To me, they don't seem to appear. And I didn't cry for that flamingo stuck in salt. Didn't care for it at all. While you couldn't hold your tears.
The
Your
melody of this.
fascination's always fascinated me. You make it harder to believe that I was ever really here. I try not to understand, just try not to understand. For I've seen enough to know where I belong. And you can't prove me wrong.
It's perfect, man.
No.
Oh my god, wow, what a transition. This is such an infectious beat.
Those modest sayings
Shaker in the
that
back.
mean so much to you. With me, they've never gotten through. I've always needed bigger words.
Do, 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 do. His phrasing, the way he descends, falls, and rises back up again like a phoenix, just remarkable.
I've always needed bigger words.
Da, da, da.
But none of your colors can be found within the lines of the pages I made mine. And the more we drift apart, the more they start to blur.
Oh, this
I
video.
try not to understand, just try not to understand. I've seen enough to know where I
He's a handsome man. Dude, I love Tamino so much. And you know what's interesting is I feel like this song is probably the most, I'll say, radio friendly Tamino song I've heard thus far. And when I say that, I just mean in terms of what typically gets charted in mainstream songs that are easy to digest with simple structures. This song, in terms of melody, was probably the simplest to ascertain because we know Tamino, at least I know Tamino, as being such an exotic singer in terms of the melody he often goes for, the pitches he selects within those unique paradigms, and it sounds so amazing when he does it. And the thing is, this song proves that he can do it the other way as well without sacrificing part of his musical identity, you know, because you can always ask the question like, oh, if I had written a song that was more palatable for a mainstream audience, maybe I would hit, you know, those higher numbers and get more deals and more sold out shows and whatnot, ascend the charts, right? And that could be a kind of carrot that people reach for. But I like that in this song too, in terms of even the instrumentation we heard earlier on in the track, the way that Tamino came in on the offbeat, sort of like a very delayed grace note. Those decisions feel very in line with Tamino's work, his style of performance. So to me, this is just like another wrinkle in his discography, something else that he can say he does well. I mean, what doesn't he do well? To be honest, I feel like everything that he must put out is just the bomb. It is just the thing you need to enjoy and experience. Fascination, man. Let's jump into the lyrics here. So he starts, I lack the colors reflected in your eyes. Oh, his poetry. So I lack the colors reflected in your eyes. So I don't have the vision of myself that you see. You see a lot of color within me, but when I think of myself, the way I perceive it, I am black and white. This is kind of indicative that for whatever reason, his self-esteem isn't where it needs to be. When you look up to the sky, to me, they don't seem to appear. To me, they don't seem to appear. I love that he doesn't precisely say stars here. The they is enough. And wow, that is a tragic sight when you look up and there's nothing, just light pollution and gray. I didn't cry for that flamingo stuck in salt. Is that an issue for flamingos when they're stuck in salt? I don't know. For that flamingo stuck in salt, didn't care for it at all, while you couldn't hold your tears. So somehow this other person is more emotional about the state of Tamino than Tamino is about himself, potentially signaling some kind of maybe self-loathing, but I think more easily indifference. Kind of like when you go through life feeling more like a zombie, like you're going through the motions without identity. While you couldn't hold your tears, your fascination has always fascinated me. This is like the operative two lines here because it's your fascination of me that fascinates me. Like, why at all could you be interested in me? You make it harder to believe that I was ever really here. That's interesting. You make it harder to believe. Why does the existence of the other person and their perception of me cause me to not believe in myself? I guess it satisfies a negative thought pattern in the mind that will always keep you belittled. You know, if you don't give yourself words of affirmation that reaffirm positive belief in yourself, nothing anybody else can say on the outside will be used positively internally. In fact, if somebody were to compliment you, you may internalize that the other way around and say, well, they had to compliment me because of X, Y, and Z. But if it was left to their own devices, they really wouldn't. Or if they really meant it, they don't actually know who I am, so I'm not deserving of the compliment in the first place. That is a very tricky thing to kind of reconcile within the self, and you have to work diligently to like notice that your own wiring is doing that, because then you are existing with your own worst enemy, and it is a perpetually difficult struggle. And believe me, I have been there. No bueno. Where are we at? Your fascination has always fascinated me. You make it harder to believe that I was ever really here. I try not to understand. Just try not to understand. For I've seen enough to know where I belong, and you can't prove me wrong, no. So I try not to understand is like, I don't try to understand why I am the way that I am, or why you like me, for me, and just try not to understand to me feels more like a command, declarative. Don't try to understand me. Don't do it. It's fruitless. I've shown through my action that it won't be received well, and it's a fruitless endeavor. There's no point. Again, just kind of like isolating himself, seemingly. Those modest sayings that mean so much to you, with me, they've never gotten through. Kind of saying, in other words, like your platitudes, even if they aren't platitudes to you, they don't hit the mark with me. I've always needed bigger words, but none of your colors. Bigger words. Okay, so the modest sayings of before, the term modest there, I thought was an interesting one. And I think there's a connection with modest and bigger. So somehow the modest sayings are these like banal compliments potentially, like, oh, you sung so good, versus like bigger words meaning like, you know, your singing cradled my soul, you know, something like that as an example. So maybe he's saying to effectively stroke my ego or make me believe the things that you're saying, you need to go big or go home for real. But at the moment, none of your colors can be found within the lines of the pages I made mine. Like, all of the parts that you see in me aren't actually here. And the more we drift apart, the more they start to blur. I tried not to understand, just tried not to understand. I've seen enough to know where I belong, and there you prove me wrong. So look, you see the difference here? We had, and you can't prove me wrong, and now it's final. There's been a turn, and there you prove me wrong. So it seems like there's some hope for Tamino. And then in the end, for when I recall all the nights that we have lost, waking in your love, I cry, I cry. And I think this was in line with the screaming in the car. Like, he was getting really emotional in the visuals of the video, as if he's like shouting into his own void because no one else can hear him. So for when I recall all the nights that we've lost, waking in your love, I cry, I cry. That is so dark, actually, because all of the nights we've lost waking in your love, like implying that the love that we had together in the nights we spent awake rather than sleeping weren't fruitful for me, our relationship. It just seems like a net negative somehow. And that is such a tragic, perpetual negative reframing of your own existence. Just constantly badgering yourself because you don't feel worthy. I'm here to tell you that everyone in this world is worthy and is redeemable to some extent. And that can only start with the belief that you are lovable. That is crazy. Wow, what a song. Tamino, man. Let's check out Each Time. Whoa, what a note.
Bed of dark red flowers.
Phrygian, right?
Pale stars shone upon. Bed of dark red flowers. It suits them like it suits us.
Wow.
That's where I start believing in the world for me. An atmosphere still enveloped by. Yeah.
These are the kind of notes that you just do not hear very often in Western music.
Young love and all that it moves by. It's there you'll find me, stretched out in the fields. Hope you don't mind me staying where I please to seal this beauty. It ain't real till it's sure. Let me feel the
What a run.
each time again, each time again. By a kind deceiving, I am shown only what is pure.
Just hypnotized by this melody because, yes, it is so novel, but truly, like, the adjective intoxicating just repeatedly comes to my mind when I think of Tamino, his songs, his melodies, but it's baked into the goods. I don't know what to say.
Only what is pure. How can it endure? How can it last some more? In this perfect circle, I've come to know the face of my defeat. It's always worth repeating. Yeah, somehow it is worth it. It's there you'll find me, stretched out in the fields. Hope you don't mind me staying where I please to seal this beauty. It ain't real till it's sure. Let me feel the thrill of it each time again, each time again.
Oh my god, that is giving me chills.
Each time again. How can it endure?
Chills, chills.
How can I just make it last some more? How can it endure? How can I just make it last some more? To see this beauty, it ain't real till it's sure. Let me feel the
Dude, 1 minute longer. I need a tissue. I think I made it. I think I survived through this song without fully crying, through this reaction without letting it, letting the floodgates open for whatever that looks like for me. Um, just wow, dude. He transports you to a different place with his music, a place that is unfamiliar to most of our Western music listening ears. Something that I've said about, I guess, music holistically. I don't know. I've done thousands of videos on this channel, so I've said a whole hell of a lot. But one of the things that this makes me think of is when you start kind of drawing from scales that are not typically found in Western music, whatever the major scale, minor scale brings you, that's like 90% of music that's produced in the West. And you get something like this that is a mode. It feels like a mode. It feels like a different scale with different intervals. I don't know. I could do the music theory after you give me like 30 minutes to like unpack each and every single moment. But the way it all feels, it is a very exotic sound. But with these new scales, melodies, pitches, they introduce new emotions. Because the way you think of music, like if you're accustomed to listening to a lot of minor scale, then we typically associate those intervals, those pitches with feelings of sadness. And maybe it's a sort of naive sadness, but it's still there. And if you like look towards, like, just as an example, the genre of jazz, and with jazz you get access to a whole lot of other notes that can add unique color to that sadness. So it's more of like a distressed sadness with a tinge of hopelessness, right? You get more of a nuanced breakdown of emotion with each of the notes. And it feels like with Tamino, we just get an entirely new emotional palette. And I don't necessarily know what to do with it, because when you're processing a lot of new emotions for the first time, it can be overwhelming. You don't really have the labels for it. All you have is that like internal experience. And it is hard to define what that even is. To me, it's magnetic. I love not knowing what it is. There's still like this mystique, this magic about Tamino's music that is just drawing me in, drawing me in, drawing me in, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. Let's jump into the meaning of this track, and then we will end the reaction today. So he starts, "On this precious evening, quiet and still, pale stars shine upon a bed of dark red flowers. It suits them like it suits us." The pale stars shining is the thing that's suiting us, seemingly. That's the it that's being referred to, which is it's a little bit of a convoluted way to get that point across, but man, is it poetic. The pale star shining suits us like it suits the red flowers. It's where I start believing in a world for me. An atmosphere still enveloped by young love. Oh. I start believing in a world for me. When I feel that sort of like starlight, that moonlight on me, it gives me this hope for love. That is so romantic. And all that it moves by, it's there you'll find me stretched out in the fields, like stargazing. That's what it is. He's the bed of dark red flowers, watching above as the light shines below and illuminates him. Dude, I have never heard someone describe stargazing like this. Hope you don't mind me staying where I please to seal this beauty. It ain't real till it's sure. Let me feel the thrill of it each time again, each time again. It's like you can only be told so much about the beauty of something. The only way to truly know it is to experience it. And the thing about beauty is that it's so very often fleeting. So when you've experienced it, there's no telling that that beauty will remain. It depends on what you're thinking about, but oftentimes like beauty is inside and out, right? If you talk about humans, um, but what's beautiful are these N of one moments that cannot be replicated elsewhere. By a kind deceiving, I am shown only what is pure. Dude, I love that. I love those lines. A kind deceiving. It's like a pretty white lie. How can it endure? How can it last some more? In this perfect circle, I've come to know the face of my defeat. What does the face of defeat look like? Oh, this is like a puzzle I'm trying to solve right now. Give me a second. So the kind deception is the kind deception is the moment of pure beauty, and maybe he recognizes that it is fleeting, so he hopes that it endures. But I also know that I will soon be defeated. So it's always worth repeating. Somehow it is worth it. It's there you'll find me stretched out in the fields. Okay, so it's like literally every single night, because he knows that he will be defeated by the inevitability of the sun rising. I think that's the most literal interpretation, but with Tamino, you could probably go more metaphorical and still be directly on target. Love it. I love multi-level meanings of songs. Wow. So it's worth repeating. Somehow it is worth it. It's there you'll find me stretched out in the fields. Hope you don't mind me staying where I please. To seal this beauty, it ain't real till it's sure. Let me feel the thrill of it each time again, each time again, each time again. And can I say, like, when those 3 repetitions happened, that was probably my favorite part of the song. The way that he modified each ending of again, again, again with the melody there was just pure bliss to my ears. And then he enters with the how. All the questions. How can it endure? How can I make it just last some more? How can it endure? How can I just make it last some more? To seal this beauty, it ain't real till it's sure. Let me feel the thrill of it each time again. That is probably the best song about looking at the stars I've ever heard. God. God, is it good. You could literally have him write a song about waking up in the morning, and it's going to be the most uplifting thing you'll hear in your entire life, or it's going to shatter you. I feel like there's almost no in between with Tamino. He's going to give you the extremes of inner peril or of absolute elation. Honestly, I'm down for the inner peril. I love the melancholy. I love how he feels like this tortured artist, this sad boy kind of aesthetic. Not that he has to be that in perpetuity, but because a lot of his music communicates that feeling, to me, I resonate with it a lot. The fact that the lyrics are this poetic is just the cherry on top, because his delivery, his melodies are already so phenomenally good. I don't know. Tamino, to me, is just a complete artist with such a unique vocal, compositional, melodic signature, and I just can't get enough. So again, if you guys would like to request more Tamino on the channel, you can do so by hitting the first link in the description box below. That is the best way to support my channel. I want to thank you guys for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care and peace.